we do that. And then y'all will rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Comments from commissioners?
No, agenda adoption.
Okay.
Agenda adoption.
No. All right. Follow the script. Check them all.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
All right. Second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, number six. And number 6, tropical storm Helene damage.
You need to vote on it. Number 5, consent agenda
Thought
adoption.
we just did that.
No, we
we don't
did
because
number
the
4.
adoption.
Oh.
Bill was whispering in my ears.
I make a
Number
motion
6,
to
number
adopt
6.
the agenda. Consent agenda.
Yeah, consent agenda. Do I hear?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. So approved.
Item 6 is an update from Helene.
Okay.
Just briefly, I want to thank Tim and Brad. They've been working on what we call the Port 2A project. That's all the items that we can't rebuild in Harmon Field, like the boardwalk, the cabin, screen porch, part of the barns along the river, I guess the old concession stand by the soccer field, and the field house restrooms. So that money added up to be like 1.2 million. So we've already submitted that now, waiting for FEMA to say yes, no. So far, they've loaded everything on there, and it's passed the first round. So it's just a matter of waiting to hear if we get that. And the Harmon Field Board has recommended that that money be earmarked for rebuilding the community center building, the old Tryon Middle School, library, fashion building. So I think that's good news. So we just have to wait for that answer.
So they won't give us the money to rebuild those things, but they'll give us
Cash
the money
for an
to do.
alternative project.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, since Helene, it's been like over a year now, there's been more communication for grant opportunities. And we had a conference call today, the management team with the Department of Commerce. We're reviewing our latest round, it's like a listing. And so we had a meeting with Foothills Regional Commission and Ralston LLC. They're the consultant helping us on the FEMA. They're helping the county out as well. And the long story short is we listed several projects, and so they had a little follow-up. And what's sort of unusual is we've got all these grants outstanding, and they're want to make sure that if we get one of the other grants, that they don't want to give a duplicate grant, but you're required by law to say that when you complete the acceptance of an application. So we had a conference call on that today, but what we're trying to do is look at money for addition to the fire station, because the station was built for volunteers. It's now a full-time department where we have 2 firemen on duty, 24 hours a day, so we have 3 shifts. And they've taken over the fire chief's office for the bunk room. We have 1 shower, and so we had all the National Guard people here, lines, that type of thing. So there's a chance we might get money for that. And we're also resubmitted some of the sewer projects we already turned in. So my goal is if we can submit to 3 different grant programs, hopefully one will come our favor, and we'll let the other 2 people know that we'll pull them back or whatever. But just to wait and see. They hope to have the rules out in February on this Department of Commerce round. And Also eligible is looking at some downtown improvements, so we've got some projects we'll work with TDA on, including McCowan Park and so forth, when we get to that portion. And also too, we're asking for the shortfall, like if it costs, let's say 1.6 to do with a community center, we have 1.2, asking the Department of Commerce for the difference. So we're trying to get as many things out there as possible on that. But I've left this on the agenda because it's like every month we're talking about, you know, the impact of the lane and where we're headed, and hopefully we'll land some money to get this town stronger infrastructure-wise.
Has FEMA given you any indication on payment or when the money will start flowing
On the what?
on FEMA for the work over at Almond Field?
Oh, we've actually done pretty well. In fact, I asked Emily, we're probably gonna have a report next month. I think we're getting very close to paying back our state loans.
Yes.
Okay.
And then also we have what, 3 state loans? And then we have the $300,000 that the general fund loaned to Harmon Field. And we had $60,000 on the utility fund,
Yes.
but we didn't really use that.
We didn't, so
We
that
pledged it though.
Yeah.
We could, you know, so the goal was to, the state basically, because they responded to a complaint I had, because they were gonna give us a cash flow loan. And they wanted repayment as soon as you got the FEMA money. Well, we're now getting in the cash flow, we're getting money within 20 days now, after we turn it in. So it'd be like a 20-day loan. So the state reviewed it and decided to send out a new revision to how they operate the loans, that you have 5 years to pay it back with no interest. So even though you get the FEMA reimbursement, you can actually wait 5 years and pay it back. My thought is, I just assume if we get the cash in, let's pay the loan back, but that'll come back to this board with a recommendation to pay off the loans sooner than later. Any other questions you have on the FEMA?
Brad, you're doing a great job at Harmon Field. It's looking really good out there.
Had a lot of help.
All right. Let's see.
Next item is Harmon Field Community Center. Want Warren Watson? I'll give up speed. We had, one of the things the Harmon Field Board recommended was they've seen that school building out there empty all these times. The roof has collapsed. And the town got back in 2019 like $28,000 insurance reimbursement. That's still in the fund balance at Harmon Field. And so the Harmon Field Board unanimously recommended to the town board back in August to, let's take the 428 money, let's get the school building fixed up, you know, turned into a community center. And so part of the recommendation was, let's go out and do an interview following the state and federal procurement rules. We're required to interview multiple firms, and then you can't pick a firm based on price, it has to be based on qualifications. So we had sent out the RFQ and 3 firms responded, and the Harmon Field Board, we interviewed all 3 firms, and they formed a committee. Warren Watson, the chairman of Harmon Field Board, myself as town manager, we had Brad Gordon as Harmon Field superintendent, and there's a consultant that the town board and Harmon Field picked, Will Rice, who's been helping us on grants. So the 4 of us interviewed the firms, and one firm, which I sent you copies of their response plus their presentation they had done, and they scored the highest on the submittal of the RFQ document as well as the interview. And so we're recommending that AU consultants be picked. They do have a connection to Polk County. One of their partners actually went to Tryon High School. He graduated, and I think Mayor Peoples, who's a principal, he's aware of him, whatever, too. But we feel that we want them to do the conceptual plan using that $28,000 insurance money. And the reason for that is, let's get an overall plan for that 10,000 square foot building. And then get a model put together, get citizen input and Harmon Field input type thing. And that would help us get additional grant money from the Polk County Community Foundation, since you got something to show for it. But then when the 428 money comes in, then we come back to the Harmon Field Board and the town board to go to the next step, and that is to approve a contract to do the full design. And then during the design, architects will do a rather detailed cost estimate. What's the cost gonna be for the whole building? And we'll know what the shortfall will be, and they can make a decision, you know, to move forward or to wait. But, all we're doing right now is to use that $28,000 to do the conceptual design only. And we're getting the project moving forward well in advance of waiting for the 428 money, which might take 3-6 months, we don't know. So any questions from Brad and I, or?
So you said that when doing the contract or doing the award, you could not use pricing
That's
as-
correct.
So, but did you have a, not to exceed, did the group that were reviewing these, did y'all have a not to exceed amount for this contract?
Yes, not to exceed 28,745,
Okay,
which is the insurance money we got
okay,
back in 19. And then
okay, no, I just wanted to make
yeah,
sure
that's
that,
it. And the firm that was picked, ranked the best, they felt they can stay within that budget for the first phase.
so they were aware of
Yes.
how much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
But one thing I want to stress too is that when I was here as manager back in '07, we got the grant to purchase the middle school property from the Polk County school system. And the grant was the North Carolina State Part grant. And when you get a grant, you're required to take care of your assets that you purchased. And so this building's fallen disarray, but I think with the action by the Harmon Field Board last week, and if this council approves it, that we're taking the steps now to move forward to get the building to be an asset rather than just an empty building.
So has it been used for anything?
I guess I know I left in February of '08. I heard they rented it out to a little bit, but they didn't maintain the roof.
So essentially, we didn't keep our end of the
I-
deal with the
yeah.
school system back in
No,
the
we
day.
No,
paid
the
the
state-
school,
school
we
system
paid
here.
for the building to start with. Then we bought it again from the school system after we gave it to them. That always.
That's the part that was
confused me.
kind of like, well,
You know, the citizens built it and now we had to buy it again, but
but we,
So-
we didn't maintain the building.
So who did we have
the
a,
state park grant program requires you to
Okay.
maintain it. For
so
example,
we didn't keep our end of the deal with
Yeah.
that?
that was the state.
Harmon Field Board.
But also too,
let-
Bill's correct that traditionally, but you gotta make it, if the town were to donate an asset, like to the school district, putting it in the restrictions that if you ever no longer wanna use it for a school system, it reverts back to us. That wasn't put in there. But we bought the school building, and we also got the field house and all that property in acreage, and an open air gym. But the one thing too about this community center building, if this was a community center building in good shape, it would have survived Helene, because the water didn't come up that far.
Are we gonna be able to get the party grants in the future once we fix the community?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Because that's one of the questions, they always go through the old grants. And, in fact, when I first came here the first time, I was here, I think the first week, I get a phone call from the Public Works Director, I need to go down to Harmon Field immediately. State part of it showed up and the town had gotten, not a big grant, to do some improvements for Harmon Field, but they never did them. And so, the state now has a reimbursement program where you have to spend the money first, turn the paperwork and get reimbursed. But, so I went to Raleigh and applied for a grant in '04. And, they asked, the staff basically said all the deficiencies the town had in the past have been fixed now. And they went ahead and awarded us a grant for, this $1 million grant back in '04, and another grant in '07. So we got 2 large grants from the state. But I think this action here is a step in the right direction of getting this building restored.
Tryon Arts and Craft, do they own that building and the property associated with it?
What's that?
Tryon Arts
Yes.
and Craft?
Yeah.
They do.
What they did was, when the school became for sale, they wanted to cut the slice that they wanted to purchase. So they purchased that separately, and we purchased the rest. And they got a grant to do their roof. And, so that's why they haven't any problem with their roof. They're ahead of the curve. The town wasn't.
Let's get that fixed.
So is there any other questions?
No, I was really impressed actually with the presentation.
Yeah.
We just need to make a motion to accept the Harmon Middle Board recommendation.
I make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? All opposed? Passes.
And we'll go to Emily. You're showing up.
Okay, so the last couple months, y'all noticed I've kept, an audit update. I handed you all a contract to start with, it's like 2 pages. So that is an amendment to our current audit agreement. Our current one ran through December 31st. But the federal government Office of Budget Management was delayed in getting certain specifics to the state for audit regulations. So that pushed our audit deadline to February the 12th. Per the local government commission, we need to have a valid contract on file, so I am recommending we approve the amended audit contract. It's with the same company and everything, it just moves the date from December 31st to October the 12th. We're still on track to have the audit done on time. I actually spoke to the head of our audit team today, and he is planning on doing that presentation at our February meeting. So. Yeah, if you would make a motion to approve that amended audit.
The modified date, it says 20.
Yes.
I just wanna make sure it was correct for.
So, but yeah, that's what they sent over, I didn't type it. But yeah, so we just have to have one on file, since our current one ended in December.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to accept the amended contract?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Tracy, did you wanna do that?
I'll start and then I'll have you chime in. So, a group of citizens and Emily leading a couple of staff members, we worked with a contractor to update a sorely out of date personnel manual that I don't think it had been updated for about 20 years. So it needed a lot of revisions. And also, because it was so out of date, I don't think that the town staff had always followed all the information, everything in there, like performance reviews have not been done, and I don't know how long. And so we can't really go back and fix, what happened, only, this is a step in the right direction to fix what was wrong and to go forward from there, and I hope that helps improve everything, staff in the future, lets managers and staff know where all of their employees are. I think we got out a lot of conflicting language. There was some language talked about, it was talked about, let's say, you have comp time, And then other places it would say no comp time. So we had to deal with a lot of those types of issues, and I think we've got all of that cleaned up. We provided advanced copies of this to both the department head supervisors as well as all staff level employees last week, and gave them an opportunity to chime in if there was anything that they wanted changed, didn't understand. They got with Emily, and then the committee met to go over their feedback last week, and we've incorporated a few minor changes. There was not any pushback on any of the things that we were recommending. And this was really very similar to what was done 20 years ago, with the exceptions of some Fair Labor Standards Act updates that are actually federal law, getting rid of the conflicting information, and we made a few minor, just minor tweaks. And I think overall it's a much better document, much better written, and I want to thank Doug Clark, who was on the team, and Emily. I think it's a really good work product, and I hope that the town management as well as staff will find it that it's useful. And assuming that my peers approve it tonight, Emily, do you want to tell kind of the next steps?
So the plan, if it is approved, is to do like basically a phased in schedule. So we would start with the individual supervisors, department heads, and make sure that they understand what their responsibilities and their new responsibilities are, to make sure that it's being kind of followed and they don't have any questions about additional paperwork they may have to do, and just a change in procedural operations. So that would be the first phase, just making sure it's basically taking a top-down approach from it. And then after all the supervisors have been met with, having a blanket staff meeting where, again, now that it hopefully is voted on and employees know it is going to be the new thing that we enforce, if they have any other questions and going over any changes. Like Tracy said, most of it was simply updating federal and state laws that were not included, and to have a policy that more accurately reflected how the town was running and shore up some of the things that were missing. So that's kind of our plan of attack as we have started this new year.
So do any of you guys have any questions about anything?
What kind of feedback did you get from the employees?
It was very minor, mostly wanted just clarification. What does this mean? So nothing,
Yeah, it was really mainly like clarification and wanting to make sure that they had the proper understanding of what was in there, and that was what Doug was really great about, helping us tweak some of the verbiage and the wording to make it easier to understand, because yeah, like I do this, so sometimes I understand it better than other people, just to make sure that the language in here was easy for everybody to understand.
and yeah, overall, I think we had been anticipating more pushback, but on some things, especially if you're used to not having a performance review and all of a sudden that you were gonna have those. And I think any well-run group should, whether it's a privately owned or a governmental, should have those. So, yeah, it was very, maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was a very small number. The supervisors had some stuff, they probably had more. Again, it was just clarifying, but we had spent, 4 months going back and forth with the consultant, trying to really hammer out a lot of the inconsistencies.
And I think I was probably, again, no surprise, but had the most comments on the old one, because there were some things that I thought were unfair to like a certain group of individuals. If they left and come back, they brand spanking new employees, and I didn't think that made a whole heck of a lot of sense. Cause, yeah, and so I got the group to agree that, you know, it's not gonna be that many people who leave and then come back. So we made a few changes like that, but yeah. But it is a living document, and I think even if assuming that it's approved, I think we need to make sure that we always look at, you know, that we take it out at least on an annual basis to say, is it working for us?
Yeah, we need to do that annually. That's
Yeah.
100%.
And, you know, so, cause it's always subject to change, so.
Any further questions?
No, I thought you guys did a great job.
Yeah.
It was an enjoyable read.
You took it 3 nights in a row.
All right, do I hear a motion to accept the new employee handbook?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Batman?
The next item is, as you know, the town got a state budget appropriation, money for 2 projects. Hidden Hill Sewer and Oak Street Sewer. We added Markham, Grady, water and sewer line as well. Those projects are nearing completion. And the state will give you money for your grant, but they will pay for like patching only. So when you get a road torn up by water and sewer construction, you got black patches everywhere, and they call that good. A lot of towns just take it and leave it that way, but I've learned in my experience that if the town can afford to come back with its own money and pave the road, the neighbors are happy the project's fixed, but they're also pleased that the road looks better than it was when it started. And so Oak Street was an area that we dug up for water lines and stuff and sewer. And so the cost to pave it with our money is, I think, 36,000, whatever. So my recommendation is to use water and sewer monies. You can use the PAL bill money, which is legal as well. My thought is, use your precious PAL bill money on the streets that don't qualify for water and sewer type tear up. And I did that with previous places where I worked, and it worked out pretty well, because when people come into your city, they don't know or do they care where the money came from, they just want the roads paved. And so my thought is, since Oak Street is now finished, we just get it paved at the cost of 36,000, whatever, and get that done. Hidden Hill is a different situation right now, and I received on Monday, we replaced the sewer line up there, but the water line is old and needs replaced too. And the cost to do that is $390,000. So I'd like to go out and see if I can get some grant money for that. And the cost to pave it is $54,000. But I have a hard time recommending paying $54,000 to pave the road now and come back and dig it up if we get the grant for the water line. And be another $50,000. So, Hidden Hill's got the patchwork done, but I do want to go aggressively try to get grant money to get that water line fixed up there too. And so, that's why we're doing Oak Street now, if you're supportive of that. Or you can leave it, patchwork and call it good. I'm just saying that, my experience, so come back and do it right.
And it is pretty patchy right now.
Yeah.
Have we alerted the neighbors that what the intentions are, or
Well,
once we decide?
I don't wanna go promise something and,
Yeah.
but you guys haven't voted yet on it. But I think the neighborhood will be very pleased if you do vote to pave the whole road rather than leave it the way it is.
I'll make a motion.
by Boat Street.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And motion carries.
Guess I'm back on again, budget amendment this time. As you know, I've been out of town, and I got back last week, and we're putting the agenda together on Friday, and Emily goes, I guess we're gonna have to do the budget amendment next month. And I said, no, I'll get it done, we'll get it on the agenda, so I came in Saturday and got it done, and I sent it out to you. If you'd like to take action tonight, I'm prepared to explain if you wanna continue it next month, I understand that, but I came over Saturday just to get this done, so you have it tonight. So I'll go ahead and explain what it is, you can, whatever. But, we've only done one budget amendment so far, but normally a budget amendment is items that happened since you adopted the budget last year, on June 30th. What has happened in the general fund, for example, we spent out money on, we have rental offices over here at the end of town hall. And the outside HVAC unit developed a leak underneath the wall and flooded the bathroom over there. And we had to get that fixed, plus there's some mold issues we had to address. And so that's not something you budget for, so it's $12,500 for the administration department to get that taken care of. We also have in the police department, on overtime, for example, we're down 2 officers. One got injured on private, at his home. And then we're doing an officer that's going to the police academy. So the overtime will bump up. We know what's gonna happen, so I increased that 5,000. And as a police contract that was not budgeted for 12,500. So I'm recommending we budget 30,000 for the general fund appropriation for that. And one thing too, which we traditionally have happened here, as the year goes along, our sales tax numbers more likely will beat budget. Our interest earnings will beat the budget. So a lot of times when you get the audit report, you'll see the revenue exceed expenditures. You may not have to use this budget appropriation, but in order to do the budget now, it's 30,000 for general fund. In the cemetery fund, I came before the council recently and said we got 3 grants from the Polk County Community Foundation. So we're just budgeting the grant receipts and spending the money to do that, look at the cemetery railings and so forth. In the Harmon Field Fund, there's 2 items we're recommending. They asked for a complete audit of the fund balance, and actually it was a good exercise. I actually enjoyed doing it. We were able to identify, we had $28,745 from an insurance settlement in 2019. The equestrian folks out in Harmon Field, they have these equestrian shows, and we keep track of all the revenue that comes in and all the expenses. And so they had roughly $17,000 or so. They made excess revenue over expenses. And Brad shared with the Harmon Field Board that we've got these monies, we can fix up some of the equestrian facilities with that extra money we earned from previous years. And so the Harmon Field Board would like to appropriate the money they saved up in equestrian, plus the insurance settlement, and appropriate that to spend it. One, to get the architect we just talked about earlier, and to get some repairs done at Harmon Field. In the water and sewer fund, again, we had a few things happen which we didn't plan for, things that broke. In the water distribution, they have a compressor that's 25 years old. It broke and didn't work, so we need another one. Just use it a lot, that's 26.5. And then the sewer plant had some problems with the clarifiers. We had to bring an outside contractor to get those fixed. And so that's the reason why we're recommending appropriation of 75,000 there. In the fire department, the last meeting, we got permission to close the bank account for the parade account and just manage it within the fire department budget. So we brought that income in as miscellaneous revenue and increased the parade line item in the fire department. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, we have the 2 grants from the Polk County Community Foundation to help with a special event, the celebration of Rogers Park. and many of you were there for that. And then we went out and bought some additional metal tables and chairs, again with grant money. So this is basically showing the receipt of the grant and spending the money. So that's the whole recommendation on the budget amendment.
Any questions for Jim? Tracy, you look like you're.
No, I just, so the bottom line, I think, even though it's what, like 170 something
Yeah.
thousand, right?
In total for all budgets.
In total, but most of, at least half of that is coming from what I would consider outside sources,
Mhm.
grants or.
Yeah,
So the 75 is coming from our fund balance.
yes, in the water sewer fund.
Okay, so that money, is that money just, what is that money that balance for, the appropriation of fund balance? Is that for, like, were we not allocating that this year to the budget?
Well, a lot of
Because we
times
didn't
too,
need it, or it's something that we just wanna hold for just in case, or do we have projects for,
well, traditionally in the water and sewer budget, you have to budget money for your operations and maintenance. You budget for any debt payments you've got, and you budget for any capital expenditures. Now, one thing too that I think our Withers Ravenel shared with the council before I was here, that you have a rather extensive capital improvement program that's not funded. So you can build up cash reserves for future projects, or if you take on additional debt. So a lot of times what I've done with budgets is, let's say 4 years out, we're gonna have a bunch of debt added. So as you build these projects, for example, the Rayburg project, it was a $3.2 million project. 2.6 million was grants and $600,000 for loan. So when you get the project finished, it may take up to a year and a half before it hits the books. This is one thing where the auditors and I had a discussion, because they wanted to show the debt this year, even though the state hasn't recognized as a debt. They basically wait till the project is finished, get all the paperwork, and the following fiscal year, they send you the loan papers. And that's when you show it on your books. I know we've got that loan payment coming. The auditors want to show it now, but it's not a loan yet. It'll be on next year's audit report.
so I guess my bottom line question is, we're not like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Now, one
for
thing
the
though,
75.
too, I know, and of course, Public Works Committee knows this very well, when you got an aging infrastructure and aging equipment, like we do here, we're still chasing things are gonna break. And so when we got the money we paid off the interconnect loan. That was the loan between Saluda, Columbus, and Tryon. And they got damaged from that big storm back in 2018 or whatever it was. Crushed the line. Well, Jay Johnson, our House member, got money to pay that loan off. And so they paid us back. They wrote off the remaining debt, and the extra money they paid us back. And so, we paid off a portion of the water plant loan, about half of it. And then also too, I included part of it to pay the debt service for this fiscal year. And the reason why I did that, because I wanted to have some extra cash to deal with things that might break down, like the sewer plant. And so, the sewer plant was built in 1969, and it has not had any major upgrades all these years. And so that's one of the projects we're trying to get money for too, as well as grants. I'm hoping the silver lining from Helene is that this town will get a number of grants that we're doing.
So let me get back just to sort of this particular. So we have a fund balance that's not allocated to
Anything.
2025, 2026.
We're getting part of the savings to pay for
Okay.
this damage.
So rather than going ahead and budgeting an amount, say, rather than budgeting, let's say an extra $100,000, and with the idea that hopefully we won't need to spend it, and we can put it back in fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. Rather than doing that, that would be one way, but this way is just.
Well, this is the
if
way
we
the state
need-
treasurer likes you to do it. They want
So this
you
is kinda like
to,
an emergency.
they really want you to, as you see something that changes, they want you to amend the
Okay.
budget. But you're not
Okay.
over, you could be still under budget, but when it
Okay.
comes to county, we know we're gonna be over eventually.
Okay,
But what I've always hoped for is that our revenue will beat the expenses. So when you see like in our audit or budget, and then the audit report that gets presented next month, it'll show that we appropriated X number of $1,000 for budget appropriation. We may not have used a penny of it because revenue was able to come in and we were able to protect that fund balance. But like last year, we put out 300,000 to the Harmon Field and some other things that happened, but as long as our capital equipment is old and infrastructure, we're going to have breakdowns.
oh, yeah.
That's why it's difficult. I mean, most managers would rather not have any budget amendments at all. But I get a phone call from our sewer collection division, the compressor broke today. I'm not gonna say, well, you have to wait the next budget year to get the money. They need to use it now. It's part of their routine they
Yeah.
do for all these calls.
Okay.
And so that's why we did that.
Any other questions? All right, do I hear a motion to accept the budget amendment?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
All
second.
in favor? All right.
Thank you.
Alright, downtown update. Try on Midnight was well attended. Song, band, party had the crowd moving from the start. Andy Millard and Aaron Green closed out the evening with Kevin Sproles on bagpipes, and Dean Trachis once again dropped the ball. Everyone loved the free. Everyone loved the free food, s'mores, games, and New Year's Eve giveaways. We were thankful to the Polk County Community Foundation for a grant to host this event, and to Brad for building the s'mores boxes, which were a huge hit. And we're grateful to Catherine for the suggestion. Thank you to Buck's Pizza, Kirk's Kitchen, Chef Sharon, Valhalla Cakes and Cafe, Trade Street Diner, Tryon, Buck's Pizza, Tryon Coffee House, Oberon Art Studios, and Tim Daniels, I did not write this, for providing food and drinks. The Main Street America annual assessment has been completed and submitted. The Polk County Community Foundation will be providing a grant for TDDA board members to attend the North Carolina Main Street Conference in March. The North Carolina Main Street Conference is being held in New Bern. And then the next item is a road closure. Back Alley has requested a road closure for Depot Street on Sunday, April 19th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Chief Holt has approved the event. We have representatives from Back Alley here if you have any questions regarding the event.
No, it's always a success, so I'll make a motion.
Second street.
Street closure.
All right. And that's all I have for that. Okay, and now the my planning update. If you've got the packet, it's a staff suggestion regarding the number of cars a citizen can have parked in their front yard. There's a situation where a citizen is parking 5 or more vehicles at any time in a residential neighborhood. There are no limitations currently, and after addressing some parking, registration, for sale sign violations, the cars have become compliant, but due to multiple comments from a number of the residents in the area, it could be considered a nuisance. I've enclosed some photographs from the last few months. I consulted with the town attorney. He said other cities do have ordinances which limit the number of cars in the front yard, which I attached the example. Things to consider could be
coverings, visibility from the street, and I wanna make a note, if it is added to the zoning code, chapter 154, it will include the extraterritorial jurisdiction. But if it's added to one of the other existing ordinances like streets and sidewalks, parking, nuisance vehicles, it will just cover the town limits area. So basically I'm just bringing this to you to get your input on it. I cannot initiate ordinance amendments. So if it's in one of those single chapters, you guys can do it, or the zoning one as well. But the planning board and the town council are the only two boards that can initiate zoning amendments.
So I had a few minutes, this afternoon, we got this afternoon, so I only had a few minutes to look at it. But I know you and I had briefly discussed this, and when I was reading the information, it sounds like, no more, these page codes aren't numbered, but, it looks like no more than 25% of the front, yard area may be delineated or used for parking and drive areas, unless the Board of Adjustment grants a variance. So my question is, that looks like a whole lot more than 25% of this front yard area is being used.
Right.
So why does it necessitate an additional ordinance? Why can't this be used?
Well, this is an
Siler
example.
City.
This is Siler City's example.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
solid, oh.
Yeah, this is not ours. We
Yeah,
don't
we
really
don't-
have
This is
anything
not
on the
ours,
books.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the main one we would
It
possibly,
doesn't say Siler City, does it?
No.
does not.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, listen.
No, okay.
Yeah, this is very thorough.
Those
Clearly,
changes grew out of similar problems and issues that.
Okay, no, I just thought this was ours.
Yeah, I think you
I
were just
didn't-
giving them an example.
no, in the front, it said other ordinances see attached. Other cities do have ordinances which limit the number of cars
Okay.
in the front yard.
Um,
I mean, the key one I would look at is number 3, parking outside a substantially enclosed structure of more than 4 motor vehicles between the front or side in the case corner lot is prohibited.
I
So,
would say the key would probably be that 4-3, that no more than 25% of the front yard. I don't know that gentleman, or I assume gentleman, could get even 3 cars in 25% of the front yard. So,
we can,
You can come up and you can change the numbers and do whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
but keep in mind, this current situation is an illustration of a problem. But this will apply to everybody from here on, if you make the ordinance amendment.
would he be grandfathered in, or
No,
would he
not
have
if it's
to?
part of the town code, but you give him time to comply with. It's in the zoning, you might have an argument for a grandfather situation.
so this is just to open up initial discussion on this, in which direction we want to go with it. Again, I'm asking you if you want me to start drafting things. And if you want, we can chew on it for a month.
What is, have you approached the homeowner?
The Chief Holt has, he's dealt with with those parking violations and the nuisance vehicle ordinances that were, there were violations in place, and like parking on the street for more than a day or two. The cars are just getting shifted around. There were for sale signs in the windows. They got rid of those. The registrations were out of date and out of state in some, but that's been taken care of. Yeah.
My concern is if we do the 25%, and some yards don't have a lot of space for families that might have like 2 cars, or that could equal more than 25%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a tough one. I mean, I drove over there. suggested to, and I could barely get my car out of it.
And it could be, I mean, the fire department, if God forbid there was an issue down that street, you know,
Yeah.
could be
It's tight.
One of the other things this does is require the area where the cars will be parked to be delineated with pavement or gravel or something. And one of the issues we experienced in Siler was just parking everywhere, all over. You know,
Yeah.
10 or 12 people living in a small house and just cars were everywhere and no grass. Even erosion was an issue. So whatever percentage you use, it'll have to have the proper surface to be used as a parking area.
Well, I've walked down there twice, and yeah, we need to move forward with this.
That's all, I think, Tim needed was some consensus.
do we need to vote on it or just a consensus? Okay, I'll start drafting some things up.
Any other questions? So you'll take on the task of
I'll have something for your next meeting.
Okay.
And that's-
Your comments report?
Yeah.
I just wanted to share with you, this afternoon, Mayor Peoples and I met with Congressman Tim Moore's staff, chief of staff, and we shared with them the resolution that you passed last month on support for the Great Trail to seek federal funding. And their field rep now for Tim Moore is from Tom Tillis' staff. And so he agreed to work close with Tom Tillis and see if we get funding for the Souda Great Trail. As you know, on the South Carolina side, I think Senator Lindsey Graham was able to get funding for them to design and build the trail to the state line. South Carolina's agreed to let us piggyback with their consultant and build the line into Tryon. And so if we can get federal funding through Tom Tillis' office and help Tim Moore, then Congressman Chuck Edwards has also shared that he represents part of Saluda. He would support the Saluda Great Trail as well. So it was a good meeting. The mayor was definitely under the weather, and we had to sit far away. But, so that was good. And also too, I just wanted, this morning I met with Tim and as you know, if you check the weather report, I just checked a few seconds ago, they're calling for 4 to 5 inches of snow for Tryon for Saturday and 12 to 15 for Sunday.
Oh, dear God.
So, I guess
They
Tim,
know.
you want to brief what you've been doing to get the troops ready?
Yeah, so we're, I just had some guys, just check all the generators, make sure they're topped off, make sure all the vehicles are topped off, all the chainsaws are working and conditioned up. We're gonna have a all hands on deck meeting at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, just to kinda get together and make sure we're not missing anything. I talked to, the fire chief about, keeping this clear so they can come and go. We'll have access to the water plant, so we can definitely have somebody up there. We're just prioritizing what we're gonna hit on top of the state already taking care of their state roads. We'll set up the plows and get the sand and salt ready and work.
Even to the extent of having somebody drive Emily to town hall so we,
Yeah.
all the employees get paid for it.
I'm gonna get her a St. Bernard.
And can we road off the clock tower steps and not
Yes.
put salt on
I'm not putting
them?
salt on it. And we are also going to close Harmon Field, so people don't go in there and do donuts. I know, you're looking for it. So we've got a good plan started, but we'll have the whole thing ready to go 10 o'clock tomorrow.
What's good about it is, by talking about it with all these supervisors and stuff, everybody had an idea of something we had to do. But just one person trying to develop what the plan's gonna be. So I think it worked out pretty well, and we're all having ideas what we need to do to get ready.
Do we contract out with anybody additional support to plow the roads?
Well, DOT comes in and does their roads,
What,
like
no,
Freight Street.
understood, yeah.
But, the town crews, of course, we haven't had a snowfall since January 22, I believe.
We have 2 small plows.
Yeah, we were talking.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
another one.
So that, I mean, is it feasible to
Yeah, they,
outsource some of it and hire
well, no,
extra?
they're pretty good at keeping the roads open. I mean, the big thing is when it snows, stay off the road so they can get the snow off.
Mhm.
But when you drive on it and pack it, and then Sunday night it drops to 22 degrees, there's nothing we can do. You got ice until the middle of the week. So yeah, I mean, people just like to go joyriding.
So I'll ask the question, I'll direct the question here. Is it feasible to hire extra help, or do you?
If we have to, we'll discuss at 10 a.m., you'll ask that question of our crews if they can handle it. But traditionally, cities do a better job getting to the streets first. The only things we don't do the private streets. There's a few private streets we don't.
Like my driveway.
We're stuck. The dark.
I need budget.
Okay.
That's pretty much my report.
All right, thank you, Jim. Any other questions for Jim? All righty, council and mayor's report. Julie, want to start with you, maybe?
Well, I'm going to the North Carolina Main Street, conference in March, so hopefully I can bring back some interesting ideas and inspiration. I got a lot of good reports from residents about the Try on Midnight, and so for everyone that participated, thank you. All the staff that's been out in the cold, thank you. And Tracy, Emily, Doug, everyone who worked on the handbook, great job. It was very thorough. Appreciate all that effort. And thanks for everyone for coming out in the cold tonight.
Tracy?
Okay, and I'd also, again, like to say thanks to everybody that helped on the plan. And not only the core group, but I know some of the fellows in the back provided input to several times to us. So I know it wasn't an easy read, but it was important, so do appreciate that. I will also, I made this plea during the working session, but if anyone wants to join the HR Finance Committee, we still have lots of work to do. This was I think, the key product to finish up, but I think there's other things that we need to look into, and the more members from more residents that we have, I think the better, all of these things will be. I think one of the things that at our next meeting, we're going to look at all the different finance related, HR related policies, and just come up with, what we want to do. And basically, I want to do a strategic plan for the group, because we're not going to do all these overnight. We're going to have to, pace ourselves, otherwise we'll drive Emily crazy as well as myself and Doug. But, just if we can map out what we need to do as a group to help the town. So if anybody is interested in joining that committee, please reach out and I can talk to you about it, or fill out a form and ask to be on the committee. And just in terms of talking about strategic plan for the HR Finance Committee, one of the things I'd like to see is like a 5-year strategic plan for the entire town that encompasses not only the HR Finance Committee, but all the other departments and committees. I think that would help us, keep us on track, for future things, and so that we're all on the same page. And congratulations to Emily, who's been with us for a year, and I know she thinks it's been more like 10. But,
Some days.
But congrats on your 1-year anniversary. And thanks to everyone for coming out.
I've got nothing tonight, so thank y'all all for coming out as citizens, it's pretty good. Staff, appreciate everything y'all are doing. That's it. Dave Warren.
Just, I'm starting to recruit for the kudzu eradication program we hope to kick off this year. I've got 2 of the kudzu warriors that are really excited about it. They love kudzu, so. But I hope we'll all agree we have a kudzu problem on staff. So we're going to do a similar program, hopefully, like Flat Rock does. They do public and private property along the right of way. So we're gonna be looking at that and bring it to the council for a vote. And just one other thing, I happen to be on the website today, and we gotta do something about our website. It is,
Okay.
not very attractive. It's all, you go to the town site and there's 2 pages worth of verbiage that people are not gonna look at.
I actually, at 10 o'clock this morning, I saw the beta version. It's like the rough version, so I didn't really wanna, it's not near ready, but I'm hoping by March or something, hopefully maybe next month we'll even have some links to present to you guys. But I actually looked at that this morning.
Good.
It's rolling right along.
Take a look at the Flat Rock website. That is impressive for a small town. I mean, it's interactive, it's bright, it's colorful, it really, people want to go into the different departments. So take a look at that, thank you. And that's all I have. Citizens' comments. You will come up, state your names.
My name is Terry Hine, and I live on Vista Terrace. And I just want to say that I'm glad to see that most of you have made it over to Vista Terrace to look at the concern about the property with all the cars. Everybody on that street has maintained their homes and invested heavily with upgrades, and you've responded by upping our assessment $100,000 apiece. So we're on the same page that our property is worth so much more. And we'd like to make sure that you understand that we're not being vindictive about this. We look to see if we can get help for the individual. But I was glad to hear that you're looking into 25% or something of that, at least, so we know what the rules are. So we're not just looking at it and getting hot under the collar, but saying, okay, this is okay, this isn't. The pile of debris, the skids and that's not okay. The 7 cars, that's not okay. 2 cars, yeah, that would be fine. So I appreciate Tim looking into it, and again, our neighborhood is looking to improve, not to be vindictive against a newcomer.
Hello, my name is Lynn Lewis. I too am a resident of Vista Terrace. We are very concerned about our neighbor. Yes, we're concerned about the 7 cars, motorcycles, furniture, boxes. Monday, federal holiday, he had 3 deliveries from post office came, 3 boxes, separate times. I've seen and spoken to the FedEx people and Amazon. They were afraid to come onto the property because our neighbor waters his cars. Doesn't wash them, he waters the cars. And so when it's cold, there's ice, they're afraid of slipping because there are boxes all over, as you are well aware. And it just keeps coming and coming. One of our neighbors who did go down to help him can't be there all the time to help him collect boxes. We're afraid of his safety because he's an older gentleman. Today he was up on the ladder working on the gutters. He can barely stand up, but he was on a ladder. We were so concerned about his health and safety, called DSS, and they have gone out to check up on him and they too are very, very concerned for his welfare. Our letter carrier said many times she has trouble getting her truck to the post box because he has cars there. The other day he had double parked the cars. There was no way to get through. It's a narrow, tiny little street with 6 houses on it and dead ends. And everybody that comes has to come to the end of the street, make a U-turn and go back down. With the snow coming, the snowplow will not be able to get down the street. He's at the very beginning of the street. They won't be able to get down. We're afraid of emergency vehicles. With no rain and all these boxes, it's a fire hazard. We are very concerned as good neighbors about him. He believes that we're all going to take care of flattening his boxes and putting them out for recycling. We can't. We have our own homes, jobs. We can't take care of him as much as we'd like to help him. We just can't. I don't want to complain. I don't want to look at him and say, you know, you're a terrible neighbor. I wave, I say hello, I talk to him as do the rest of our neighbors. But we are so, so concerned that we have to drive past all this every day. He had a worker come, a electrician, who parked his car, his van, legally, and our neighbor wanted to move one of his cars. Instead of asking the workman, could you please move your van? He moved his car inch by inch by inch in a place that he could not get through. And he scraped the side. He has 2 Bentleys, and he scraped the whole side of one of his Bentleys, and he scraped the worker's vehicle in a space that a bicycle couldn't have gotten through. We are concerned as neighbors. We're concerned about his property. We're concerned about our properties. Especially, and I hate to bring this up, but we were given a property tax raise. Properties on our street are all going, the value of our properties are going down because the first thing you see when you come on the street is what's going on at that house. And we just don't know what to do anymore. But we thanked him, we thanked the police, we thanked the sheriff, DSS, who said they are going back to try to help him out. And that's why we've turned to you folks. We really would appreciate all the help you can give us. Thank you.
My name is Charlie Holbrook. I'm also resident of Vista Terrace. I live directly next to the house that you've seen pictured. And I think one thing that has not been mentioned, so the gentleman that lives in this house, he's owned the house for well over 20 years. It has been used as a rental house until it was deemed unsafe to be used as a rental house because the last residents fell in the basement because of water leaks from the gutters not being maintained. So when he moved into the neighborhood, he began introducing himself. He moved from Los Angeles County, somewhere in that area. And he said, well, I moved from that area because the police kept coming after me because of the condition of my property. And because he can't rent the house anymore. And then he was complaining about his house in California. It's taking so long to sell and so long to sell. And the real estate agent, he divulged this, that the real estate agent finally came out and said, we can't sell your house because of the condition of the house, because of the condition of the property. And so it seems like he's thinking that he can come here and just escape everything. And like Lynn has said, we're not trying to come down and we're not trying to come down and cause problems. The whole situation has kind of been embarrassing that we had to come down here and take time out of people's days that have other things they can deal with. Well, on top of the cars and things, then what can be done also about the amount of garbage that continues to build? One of the neighbors went down and helped move things into recycling, and the yard was clear for about 2 days until more things showed up. He went to the thrift store, piled the back of his truck full of furniture, I guess to supply his house with, unloaded one load into his carport, went back to the thrift store, parked it in front of his house, and just threw tarps over the back of it, and it's still sitting there. So I'm glad that there's possibly something gonna be done about the number of cars and things, but moreover, the general concern is just the safety of our neighborhood, because he continues to have all this garbage packed in, and if you have 7 or 8 cars that are all sitting there full of gas, we have no rain, you have all this dry cardboard, he's gonna burn the whole neighborhood down. But hopefully, you see our concern on this, and it's more than just, he's packing the street full of cars, and it looks like garbage. So hopefully, we can continue to work with you, we can continue to work as a community to just know that we're gonna be safe, that we don't have to worry about our house burning down because of the garbage that this man has piled in his yard. I'm grateful for the attention that you have put into this. We've been working with Tim on this for like a year, and he's been extremely professional in every bit of this. And so, I think we have one more neighbor here that would like to.
If I can, I can send a nuisance trash letter and give them 30 days to clean it up. We have that, I have that power.
That was a question I was
Yeah,
gonna ask.
we have a nuisance
We
clause.
do have that, so that should be
Got it.
explored.
Got it on my list here right now to get that tomorrow.
And then I guess I'm sorry, one question. Do y'all have restrictive covenants in your neighborhood?
No.
Because in Gillette Woods, there are restrictive covenants which would prevent sort of nuisance. And so it's a double layer, but if y'all don't have them, just.
We're right at the edge. When you go around the corner and that
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're barely,
Well, that would be Gotcha.
oh, that's.
Gotcha Hill,
that's right.
yeah. No, I was just wondering if Gotcha Hill had those types of covenants.
Not that I know.
Okay,
My name is Cam Cameron, and I live on Vista Terrace. And I think the main thing I want you to know is, first of all, we're concerned about this gentleman. Truly. We're also very concerned about our neighborhood and the damage that is being done to it. Everything from having that many cars there, with whatever happening with the cars. The initial ones he moved in, a lot of them were held together with masking tape and stuff looked like it could have leaks and whatever. And then he has started bringing in new vehicles along with those. And as has been said, 2 Bentleys. I don't know who this gentleman's family is, but he is obviously got the wherewithal to take care of the house and the place and make it more fitting for what it is, and he's not doing that. And literally today, driving by, as was said, he was up on a ladder doing something in the gutters, and he can hardly walk. I'm really concerned for him, truly. So, thank you for any consideration and anything that can be done. Hopefully a situation like this would not show up somewhere else in the town, but if we could have something that could control this kind of situation, it would really be appreciated. Thank you.
So going to the cars and he left one of his cars parked behind the new event center. What's the old first center? He left it there. The event center had it towed. He was informed the car was towed. He said, "Oh, well, I guess the place can sell the car to get their money for the tow fee." So it's like he picks and chooses which cars are his favorite. So thank you.
Sorry. Gentleman adopted a cat. My name is Lynn Lewis, also with Vista Terrace. He adopted a cat, but then left the cat in the cab of his truck.
For days.
And one of our neighbors took it. So,
Yeah,
as I said,
he needs help.
yes. And as you can see, we're all very, very concerned. We're a close-knit group. We take care of our street, our homes, and each other. And we need to help take care of this gentleman, but we need your help because there are some things that are just beyond our ability. So we thank you.
Other questions or comments?
I have one. Harriet Hudson, I'm on the board of the History Museum, and I was concerned because the new owner of the new property that the building, that the museum and the visitor center now reside, has put up no parking, tollway zone signs on the parking lot that was used by people visiting the museum and the visitor center. And I was just concerned about maybe the zoning for our town for parking, now that we have a new owner of that building, and he's put up no parking signs. I just didn't know going forward, would a private property like that, would there be zoning in place to prevent that from becoming paid parking? That's my concern, it's just
Is this the parking lot across the street?
from the museum, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So right now, anyone who wants to visit the visitor center or the museum, that parking lot says no parking tollway zone. I don't know what the new owner has in mind as far as the future of that building yet. I have no idea what type of work that's going to happen. My only concern is because Hendersonville just instituted paid parking, and that's been, a sore subject, and I just would hate to see that happen to our town. And I just didn't know if we had any zoning in place to prevent that from becoming a forced paid parking situation.
All I can add is, when I was here the first time, I brought to the town board at that time a lease where the town leased that parcel for free public parking in exchange for, we paved the lot for a 10-year lease for free parking, and of course that expired. But if the council so desires, Jim and I can meet with the current owner and see if we can work out a lease to keep that area free public parking. I don't know, it's worth a try, I think.
I mean, he may be just prepping our mental state for when he has it as reserved parking for tenants, apartments, or whatever
I don't
in
know
the
that he
future.
really thought it that far ahead. I don't think he realized when he put the signs up that that was where visitor center parking was. I think it was more just sort of a way to protect his own.
But you're one of the tenants though.
Right, but when the president of the museum spoke with him, it was as if the conversation, it was like the new owner hadn't really thought it all the way through. So I don't know why he did it, other than his explanation was legally just to protect his own interests.
Well, the way it works, if the town were to have a lease with him, our insurance automatically covers liability issues. So that's one of the pluses if you wanted to have a lease with us.
Well, that would be great if you guys wanted to meet with him and just explain all of that. I'm just
Okay.
concerned about parking for the museum and the
Sure.
visitor center.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to answer the question, I don't think we have anything on the books regarding prevention of, I don't even think paid parking's.
I would just hate to see that happen.
I'm Ken Hammer again, but this is not about Vista Terrace. I am the gallery manager at Tryon Painters and Sculptors, which is one of the buildings more or less in that same area. And we have our classroom studios downstairs, and we direct our people to park in that lot if they want to come in our back door as opposed to coming down the stairs from street level, because those stairs, some people have problems with stairs. And so we've been kind of surprised when suddenly we were getting reports there are no parking signs there. So I'm happy to hear that previously what was going on and that you all will look into hopefully returning that to being open public parking of some kind.
Yeah, because how are they enforcing it? They live like in Charlotte or, and they're never here.
Well, they could call I mean, if they have cameras, I mean, and I would not, as a body, suggest that people.
Oh, I wasn't
park there.
suggesting it, I was just asking a question.
There are no cameras that I'm aware of.
Right.
Well, they might if they started finding.
But also since the museum, I mean, people that are going to the museum and working in the museum, volunteering at the museum, should be able to park there.
They
We
probably
went from that
can't, yeah,
building.
they're tenants, just
Yeah,
park
they're
there, don't
tenants.
worry about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
get a
we-
museum pass.
We're more concerned about the visitors,
Right,
not the museum workers.
but I mean, we're renting from it, so someone that, you should be allowed to park there.
Yeah, I mean, your board needs to say, are we permitted to use this parking lot or not?
But
We've
again, I'm
already-
not concerned about our board, I'm concerned about people coming to town
Yeah,
who
but
wanna
they,
visit the
they can-
museum, and it says no parking.
well, if you keep the merchants off the side street, there'll be plenty of parking for them. Just put stickers on merchants' cars that park there all day. We can't do anything, but y'all can as other business people. I'm gonna get off.
Well, I'll look at meeting with them and see if we come up with a mutual agreement and bring it back to you for consideration.
Right. Any further comments? Well, I guess we're ready to adjourn.
No, I make a motion that we go into closed
Closed
session.
session.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? You need to say the general statute.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say the general statute.
Yes, we got one more word.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm new to this. My name is Maria Eaves, and I live on Hidden Hill. And I own a duplex there. I've had 3 incidents of flooding. One incident was when the upstairs and downstairs tenants both did their laundry. The downstairs tenant flooded out. Another time, the upstairs tenant did 2 loads of laundry. The downstairs flooded out, and I've hired 3 companies to assess the situation. We've gone to the street and then determined that the street to the manhole is a bunch of 45s. And what's happening is we're getting a block at the 45s. On Monday, the city came out and did a jet rod line and blew it out, solved the problem. And so my question is, can the city help me?
We already, I guess Tim wanna update on that?
Yeah, so I've got pictures of it,
Okay.
sent them to the engineer said it won't be 45, I mean, obviously, there's gonna have to be a little
Really?
bit of a turn, but
Okay.
they're on it.
What's the time frame for that?
That's up to the engineer, I can take your name and number, keep you posted.
That'd be
on it.
great.
Okay,
My tenant is really upset.
okay, yeah, let
I'd
me,
like to have an
after the
update.
meeting, I'll
Thank you
come
so
out
much.
and get your
Sorry, Don.
info.
But
Sure
you
thing.
haven't done it before the storm comes.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out.
Say